Let the record show it's 6:30. For the record, I've been in contact with Fire Chief Forrest Reeder, and he is something down and out with the flu, and he will not be here this evening. He is spending time in the latrine, so he will not be here. I'd like to consider approval of the minutes of the Public Safety Committee meeting held on January 8th, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Item number 3, discuss the fire department's pay plan. Take that agenda.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate some of the statements that we made at the last committee of the whole, and just draw your attention to some of the highlights on the recommendations of the plan. Specifically, implementation of the plan would be on May 1, and incorporating the following. So this would be a 10-step pay plan, pay grades and step structure, similar to what the village currently has for other staff members. There would be a market wage or cost of living eligibility components. And the plan structure would have a 2% increase between each full step within the positions. The positions that you have information on has been plotted into the new plan and include rate increases in the first year for some positions, and some of the other positions are not placed as higher as a means of containing costs. Some fire suppression staff have been with the department for 20 years or more, and in the first year of the plan, those who receive a successful performance evaluation will have an opportunity to move a full step increase within the same pay grade if they meet the criteria of the performance evaluation. There is a merit-only component as well for certain positions, including the assistant chief and deputy chief. And that, again, is also based on successful performance evaluation. And we'll be working with the department on updating that performance evaluation tool so that it's a little bit more clear. There's an educational stipend program that is going to be replaced and actually, again, falls under that performance evaluation. And then acting rank pay program has changed so that fire suppression staff are paid the same hourly rate as that of the acting up position. That's no longer possible as part of this. And so we would be looking to add an additional hourly pay amount based on the acting rank role that's going to be enacted. We had previously provided the total costs. So the cumulative for the first 4 years was approximately $513,000, and that represents the net estimated cost. Any other questions?
Trustee Bray, I'd just like to make some general comments. First of all, I want to thank really Denise, Paula, and Forrest and the fire department management. This has been something we've been working on for really about a year or so. So you may remember in the strategic plan the board approved a couple of years ago, this was one of the goals, was to do a study of the fire department pay system, try to improve our competitiveness in the market. And again, a reminder that we all know we're very fortunate to have the system here where we have a part-time department, and we want to make sure that, you know, it remains as competitive as possible. And the cost really here is the steps. They're essentially getting what full-time employees get, and we think this is kind of a good way to continue to attract more and keep some of our employees around. And so it took a while to put together, but we think it's a good plan that's competitive. There are costs. Most of those costs are in the future years of the plan, but again, I think to continue to maintain what we have, the part-time department, which we get a lot for, a tremendous amount for, at a very low cost. We think this is a small cost in the big picture of things.
Well, I certainly agree with you that with this, we're keeping some of our men and women that have the experience and the years with us, and if I've checked out what they have in the area, that they're not jumping ship to go somewhere else to make more money. So, yeah, it's exactly a great step forward. Okay.
So I think what we would do is probably in April, ask the board to approve this as part of an ordinance if there's a positive recommendation for the
You want that on the agenda, Dave and
It
April?
would actually, it'll be part of it'll be a pay plan ordinance. So
Oh, okay.
We'll have to, Denise and I will have to figure out the timing on this thing, because it'll take some time to kind of put the ordinance together, but, April or May, I'm not sure at this point, so.
Okay,
But,
nice job, thank you.
so, could you get a recommendation? from the committee, or-
Making a motion to put it to the board in April as part of an ordinance?
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So ordered. And item 4, discuss the awarding the contract for the disaster recovery software. This is the second data center.
Good evening. Disaster recovery and business continuity is a long-term complex item on the Village of Tinley Park strategic plan. Emergency management and IT has created plans for disaster recovery to support and protect our residents. A key component of the IT plan is the design and creation of a secondary data center at a location outside Village Hall to support disaster recovery. Secondary data center will ensure that in the event of catastrophic failure at a primary location, data integrity and functional consistency of most or all of the crucial applications and software that support the daily financial and operational activities of the village will be maintained. The disaster recovery secondary project is a critical piece of the overall Village of Tinley Park emergency plan and provides data security and operational support to maintain continuity for business, for village business, and to support our residents. Secondary data center will also serve as a fully functional data center and be available for village employees to execute all village applications and provide file service and access. The project was presented in executive session in December, where it was recommended that the project go out as an RFP. RFP was posted in January. We had 23 companies download the RFP. We had 1 response from Meridian IT. Their submission was under budget and met our design requirements. We'd like committee approval to create an ordinance and present to the village board for contract approval.
Here's a question, was this just being another building somewhere else, or
Correct.
like in a bunker somewhere?
No, not in a bunker, but in a different location.
I just wonder, you know, if a tornado came through and took out the 911 center, or worse, you know, just wondered, so it's just being another location.
Exactly right. It's to separate one of the parts of a disaster plan is to separate the two.
Okay.
By any chance, Mike, since you said 20 downloaded it,
23,
23, and only 1 responded,
correct.
by any chance, did you reach out to any of them and see why? I mean, it's
I didn't.
not like we had, 20% or something respond back. We had 1 out of 23. It seems that before we move forward, maybe you should, what are we missing? Why did 22 people not even want to bid?
I'd have to go through the companies. Some of them probably weren't able to deliver up to the design specs. Some of them were smaller companies. Some of them probably had one of them I know for sure was a construction contractor. Not that construction guys are not intelligent, but I don't think they could do this work, this disaster recovery work. I'd say if I went through it, maybe 10 were qualified, so we got 10% response, qualified vendors, which I think is a fair amount on an RFP.
What did you think of the one that did qualify?
It's really good, excellent. It met our criteria. It's a good company. It's a company we've worked with in the past.
Okay.
And just for a safety or for our own knowledge, I'd recommend you at least call them and
Sure.
see. And
Why?
Maybe it was out of their, maybe it was
Some
out
of
of
them
their
aren't-
field.
Yeah, they're out of their expertise, and they just because you put IT behind a name doesn't mean you can do everything in IT, so. but I can-
Especially all that we have to do here in Tinley.
Exactly, it's complicated. I can call 1 or 2, sure,
Perfect, thanks.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's move on to,
Can we get it to the board?
oh, I'm sorry, yes. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Can you contact them by the board meeting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Make a motion to bring this to the board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's move on to item number 5, comments from the public.
Just a quick question. I think you said there was a 2% pay step plan for each level of pay between the steps. Is that significant enough to incentivize some of our firemen, from moving up, through the ranks? Because from my understanding right now, I think that there's very little of a pay difference between our engineer position and our lieutenants and so on and so forth. Is that going to give them enough to, incentivize some of our current employees to? It's 2%.
It's 2% per step, so there's, yeah,
Okay.
that's 20, I mean, cumulatively 20%.
Okay. Is there any incentives for them in addition to having their EMT basic license? Are we? No, I know, I'm just saying, is there an additional subsidies for them in case they are already certified? Or paramedics? No? Any thought process to that?
No, I think, the major goal of this study was to really kind of address some of the issues that you mentioned with some of the positions that were just really caught up in the market. And we really wanted to kind of get that in mind first. Obviously, like any pay plan, we assess these things every couple of years just to make sure nobody was in the market. And I would imagine the next couple of years we'll do another market study and kind of see where we're at. Perhaps, some.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Pat, where are we at? Where are we going to work towards having an ALS engine? How's that progress coming along?
The progress is coming along well. What we just started was a CPR assist, so that's in place right now. So we're gonna be doing that for a while to evaluate that. Then the next process is to get the BLS licensure process, and then from there go to the ALS. So that's, I would say next year we'll start working toward the BLS. And we have talked about that, in that STEP program where people can move steps to compensate for having those licenses for BLS or ALS, depending on where they're at, where we are licensed in the department at that time in the future.
Okay.
So it's a phased program. We're doing the CPR assist now. It's going extremely well. We'll evaluate that and then move toward the BLS licensure.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Anybody other public comments? Let the record show that we have no other public comments. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Public safety meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to call the Public Works Committee meeting to order at 6:42. I'd like to make a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the Special Public Works Committee meeting held on March 5th, 2019.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Number 3, discuss village waste and recycling, request for proposals. Pat?
Yes. Get to the memo here. Yeah, so what we've been doing is gathering information. I've been gathering information from surrounding suburbs and through some of our network within the village managers. Some of the things, as we talked about before, that we're going to be putting in there is some different options as it relates to electronic recycling, hazardous household materials, Christmas tree recycling, condo and townhome inclusion, senior citizen, disabled veterans discounts. Okay, so those are some of the different options. What we will have some issues with is the whole condo and townhome inclusion. A lot of these associations are in current contracts, so it might be something that we have it as an option that somebody could potentially option into if they're able to break out of the association contract. But that's something that we would put in as an option, not necessarily a mandatory thing for the force people or force condo association or townhome associations to get into. So those are some of the different things that we're looking at. We're looking at some direction from the board as it relates to the length of the contract, and then also length of the contract of which other options you'd like to include in the RFP. So we're looking for a little direction, mostly on the length of the contract, because you'll take a look at the draft RFP when it comes out next month. So we're really looking at sort of the length of the contract of where we want to go.
Is it gonna be a 3-year?
Pat, isn't there for the recycling, or for the garbage companies, aren't they
What?
different than other contracts as far as the length of time? Is there a maximum on that, or?
As a
there's a franchise rule on it, but I think that's only kind of the first time you go out, so, I'm not aware of a length on it.
Okay.
We'll double check for you.
Yeah, actually, Berlin has a 10-year contract.
Yeah, I know they're all over the place, but it does sound familiar, so it might be the first franchise, but I'll look into it.
So,
Yeah, obviously you get, you know, the longer the contract, you're probably gonna get, prices that they're, again, wanting the contract longer, so you might get better pricing, but on the other hand, too, you don't know what's, the world's gonna be like in 8 years.
Right.
So you might be locking yourself into something that might seem like a good deal, so I wouldn't do 3, but I think 10 is way too long, but you know, what about 5 years?
I think 5's too long. I think 5's too long.
start with 4,
You guys think?
3, 4.
I like
Start for,
three.
I don't think anything less than 4, that, I mean, if it happens to become a new vendor, they've got to put out the cost as far as the containers and recycling and stuff, and it's a lot of upfront cost on them, yeah. Yeah, I would think 4 at least is a minimum. I don't think any less than that someone's gonna wanna commit. What do you guys think?
I'm happy with 4.
Any other direction that you need for this, or?
I'll have, just following we'll have the draft RFP, it's actually, I have most of it done already. That'll come out, probably the end of this month into early April. So we'll take another look, probably send it to you earlier to just discuss with you. And then, board review and approval for May, release it in May, end of May, and then the RFP selection in June. It'll give us a good 3 months to get everything set up, 3.5 months.
Okay. Sounds good. If there's no other questions, number 4, discuss agreement with ComEd, multi-path use, 179th Street to Tinley Park District Dog Park.
Trustee Humphrey, yeah, this is something we've discussed on and off. This lease that initially had been pulled out of the budget, but we've, basically now we're trying to just finalize the leases. If you remember right, we had been for the last year or so trying to get easements with Park District and Gallagher and Henry. Those have finally been obtained. It's really the last thing we need to do to be able to move forward with this is the lease with ComEd. This is actually very similar to a lease you signed last year, other than just the location and the dates. It's almost word for word the same as what we signed last year for different section of the lease. So basically, this will go in place and last for about 10 years. We pay a one-time fee of $1, and so we would need the committee's recommendation to put this on the next agenda.
Make a motion to put this on the next board agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5, discuss intergovernmental agreement with Metro for cost sharing to construct warming shelters at the Oak Park Avenue train station. Dave?
Sure. This is another item, again, that's been on and off discussed in the budget. And, we in the past have tried to get cost sharing with Metro on this, and they've always refused. This year, we did, as you can imagine, after that horrific 22 below zero day, we did get some more calls from some commuters. I think a couple of the commuters are in the audience tonight, asking if we could again approach Metro about doing this, and this time they did agree to a cost sharing. So with that, I've talked with Brad and Michael about adding that to the budget. John can go through the numbers, but we think, John, at the high end, it's $250,000, which would leave our share at 175. And again, that's the high end, so our recommendation is to move forward with it. We would have to have an architect design it, and then we'd have to do an intergovernmental agreement with Metro. But at this point, with the cost sharing, this seemed like a good time to do it. So we would need a recommendation if the committee agrees.
John, you think that's something with the job contracting thing, is if they ever done it?
Yes, we
Checked into
could
that?
approach the job contracting.
And that way you avoid the architect fees if they've already done this before in another community?
I could ask them about this hybrid type of station here. We may end up still having to have some slight amount of architecture and engineering. As you can see in the packet here, we have some conceptual design here. This isn't just a warming shelter because of the lack of storage that was afforded when that station was built. We added a storage facility along with the warming shelter, so again, it's a hybrid type of facility.
Okay.
But the architect did approach a manufacturer of the warming shelters, so there is a little bit of a prefab ability to this. So, again, trying to stick with the look of the current train station and not just go with a prefab aluminum facility. We are doing a combination here, so we can probably do it with a minimalist ability of getting some drawings together. We don't need a full construction set because it is a very basic construction.
All right. Just give direction to go out to bid then? Is that all you're looking for, Dave, tonight, or
Yes.
does anyone have a problem with that? Go out to bid? All right.
Is that your car, John?
Yeah, I was wondering, whose Lamborghini is that?
Yeah, I had that modeled for the photo.
All right, number 6, discuss donation of coins from Zbraki Plaza Fountain to Tinley Wish.
Well, I.
Bill, we wanna take
The guy
that?
who had the idea, I think, should.
Well, I
He's offering
Saw
to clean them
people-
yourself, right?
Yeah, thought it up all by myself, that the coins were being thrown there in the fountain, and I questioned about where are they going, where do they do? And Dave looked into it, and it was found out that they had collected them, and they're sitting at Public Works in 2 or 3 buckets. And the banks won't take them because they're dirty. They've got all the crud on them. And I proposed Boy Scouts would clean the coins, okay, and then donate them to Tinley Wish. I like to see 1 or 2 plaques out there to let people know that if you throw money in there, where it's going to go. So that was. I'd like to find out what you think.
Do we need to put that on the agenda, or is that just direction?
This is,
Directions?
no, I mean, we
Right.
can just do this, it was just, we wanted to make sure we had concurrence, but, I mean. this
Everyone's
is-
fine with
this
that?
is- The staff direction will, we'll get the sign up, and we'll work with Bill and the Boy Scouts and how we get the coins.
We'll get them cleaned.
Okay.
Sounds good. Number 7, discuss contract award for 2019 irrigation renewal extension.
Yes, sir, Trustee Hunker, thank you. This is a request to approve a bidder, Aquamist Plumbing and Lawn Sprinkling Company, as the apparent low bidder to maintain 3 of our site locations and 4 of our facilities for the irrigation systems. This current contract includes the pricing for 2 additional contract extensions at the board approval. The bid came in at $28,907, which is about $1,000 under our current budget.
Motion to put Aquamist on a agenda for irrigation renewal. Do we have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Ready to discuss contract award for 2019 lawn treatment.
And, again, thank you, sir. This is for our annual maintenance of village-owned properties. We have approximately 37 acres of planting beds and 207 acres of lawn areas. The current contract includes the pricing for 2 optional contract extensions of a year. This is the weed control for the lawn. The bids went out. We had 2 bidders. True Green came back at $32,936. This is under our annual budget by $12,000. Requesting your approval for the bid from True Green.
It's also fertilizing too, right?
Yes, sir.
Anyone have a question with that? If not, make a motion to add that to the agenda for True Green.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 9, discuss contract award for Apple Lane pond sediment removal.
All right, sir, this is for the sediment removal of Apple Lane Pond. Working with the street superintendent along with site design, they came together with a maintenance program for our retention ponds, and this one was in dire need of sediment removal. We had the RFPs go out, and we had 2 bidders, and the lowest bidder was US Aquavac out of Crete, and their base bid amount was $129,999, which came in under our budget. We're requesting approval by the committee to offer the US Aquavac contract to the board.
Anyone have any questions? Now I'll make a motion to add that to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss award contract for the Apple Lane Pond shoreline restoration.
So again, with the previous bid, this is the shoreline restoration for Apple Lane Pond for our pond maintenance. This did go out with RFPs. We had proposals submitted by 5 companies, I believe it was 5. And after being reviewed, our best score came in with CLS, which is Conservation Land Stewardship. And their base bid amount was $49,288.60. Asking for committee approval and to forward that on to the board.
Any questions on that? If not, I'll make a motion to add CLS to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Number 11, discuss award for the Fairfield Glen Naturalization Pond Restoration.
Fairfield Glen Pond was in our maintenance program as the second pond in need of the restoration. Again, RFPs went out. Kelly Mulqueeny and Site Design reviewed the RFPs. We had 6 bidders on this one, and the highest score went to Pizzo at the base bid of $106,371.57, requesting committee approval and to push this to the board.
Any questions? If not,
Yeah, I did, Brian.
okay.
The, what separated, hold on, let me go back one. On the item 10, the Apple Shore CLS scored higher than, what did you say, it's Pizzo? Pizzo, and now this one, it's exact opposite. What were they were the, on the last one, they were the best contractor, and now this one, they're rated a little lower, but, and they're also $11,000 less.
And I have Mitchell Murdoch from Site Design. I'll go over how the scoring was done on that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. On CLS's response at Apple Pond Restoration, the site they'll be handed to begin with is a bit more of a blank slate because we're doing the sediment removal first. And in terms of the actual restoration that's going to be done, it's more like kind of starting over, starting clean. They're a company with a little bit less experience than Pizzo, although still very reputable. Their cost proposal was obviously very advantageous. So they were the lowest. We didn't see any reason not to go with them at Apple Pond, whereas at Fairfield Glen, we're not necessarily pressing the reset button per se. We're keeping a lot, it's more of a restoration project that's going to more like selective removal and kind of actively doing stewardship and managing a lot of the different parts of the site. It's a little bit, I guess to simplify, it's a bit more of a challenging site. Pizzo has a few more years of experience. We have worked with them in the past, so they're a bit more of a known entity, and we also felt like their cost proposal was still very competitive as well.
Is it worth the $11,000?
Yeah, in our opinion, it was. Yeah, we scored them out, and Pizzo came out a little bit ahead.
Pizzo does the 80th Avenue and 171st for us now, right?
They did the installation there, yes, and
And some
they
maintenance.
did do maintenance there for many years, yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
There's no other questions. Make the move to Pizzo and Associates to the agenda. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 12, discuss contract award for 2019 landscape bed maintenance program.
Yes, sir, thank you. This year is our first year that we presented the landscape bed maintenance separate from our lawn maintenance. We have found in years past that the landscape beds around our facilities and remote sites left a little bit to be desired. So we separated the bids for that, and we put a little bit more requirement on the bidders for the bed maintenance. With this bid that went out, we had 3 bidders on that, and the recommendation came in for the bidder being Christie Weber Landscapes at a dollar amount of $149,760.25.
Any questions on that?
Yeah, it's almost 39,000, John. Is it, what is the, we've had Ridge before, correct, or no?
We have had Ridge in the past,
Okay.
and Ridge was the awarded bidder with the previous contracts that I spoke of with, issues with their ability to maintain the beds, so we've already experienced concerns with their ability to follow through with the work. So that's, as you can see in the scores that they were given, why they were not scored as high as Christy Weber. Christy Weber does have an extensive background and experience with this type of work.
Are we allowed to, Pat, to ask them to lower the price?
Last,
Chris,
who
Weber?
came in second to Weber?
no,
Rich
Christy
Lansky.
Weber.
Christy Weber, for
They were
dollar
the-
amounts,
They were the highest, but they were scored,
Highest.
also scored the highest. Is-
You know, I'd have to look at the RFP, I don't have it in front of me, Mike, but, you know, generally the village, I'm sure there's a clause in it that the village can take any action that's advantageous to the village.
Okay.
So,
If you guys are comfortable with it, it's $39,000 more. It wouldn't hurt to have, I don't know if that
I'll
goes to
look
the
at it with John
manager.
tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, and then you'll contact
Yeah.
whoever has to contact them?
I'll contact you.
Are you guys okay with that?
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But we have to, you know, I'll need to see the document then.
Yep.
So we'll talk.
Move this forward to the agenda, make a motion to move this forward to the agenda pending the outcome with the attorney. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 13, discuss contract award for the 2019 mowing program.
so as I mentioned in the previous contract discussion, we did separate our annual mowing contract with the bed maintenance. This is the annual mowing contract. We had 5 bidders come in on this, with the lowest bidder being Corey Cartage at $165,543.17. We're looking for committee approval to move forward with recommendation for Corey Cartage to get the contract on our landscape maintenance.
And we talked to them, the bid amount is considerably lower. I mean, we vetted them out as far as, did they know exactly the scope of work, what they have to do? It's not even close to the next 4 bidders.
Did we discuss that with them?
Well, we
It's
followed our
$90,000.
reserves and we added up all the numbers and
Okay.
came out, yeah.
So as Superintendent McQueenie says here, that they were discussed with, and they were okay with the numbers they submitted.
Fully aware.
Yes. Now, I was reviewing these earlier, and the other bidders' numbers are reflective of years past. So I don't know if it was a common mistake that they thought this was still a combined contract, and that's why their numbers, reflected, like I said, the contracts from years past. Whereas in these, Corey Cartage had numbers that were more conducive of what this scope is at now.
Okay. There's no other questions, add Corey Cartage to the agenda for next meeting. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, receive comments from the public. Anyone wish to address the board?
On the scavengers contracts, can you forward me some cost information as to what the village residents pay now? So if this goes through with the, where the townhouses can opt in or out, at least I have somewhere to, base our, judgment as to whether we're gonna opt in or stay with where we're at.
Sure.
So I emailed you that earlier to you today, but,
I know, I didn't, yeah, I saw that.
so,
If you want to stay after, I can talk to you, because I live out there, and I'll give you.
okay, no problem. Thank you.
Hi, I'd like to address the business with the Metra warming shelter.
Okay.
It's been about 15 years that we've been trying to get something, something to move in that, and I'm grateful that it's finally getting across the board. I just want to reiterate the need for that. After 2 p.m., all the Metra pickups are on the north side of the track 2. There's absolutely no shelter from the wind or the rain over there. So I would submit that anything that does go in there should actually be a warming center. That means actually have probably an overhead infrared light. At one point, there were overhead lights at the main station at the north side, and after 2 years, somebody decided to remove the timer control of those lights. And now it's impossible. There's no heat there, even though the infrared things are still up there. They're never on. After 2 o'clock, all the trains, inbound trains, are on the north side, and a number of times we use that very much. We go downtown 2 or 3 times a week in the evenings, and we've seen many times when people are on the south side on track 1 and don't realize that the trains are actually going to be on track too. So at the very last minute, when the bells start ringing and the gates to go down, they run across. So it's not only a shelter issue, it's a safety issue. At one point, I saw somebody caught on that side that happened to have a bicycle. He got so mad because he got caught on the wrong side. The conductor wouldn't open the doors. He threw the bike at the train in frustration for not being able to get across. So it's a safety issue. The other comment that I had is that we've reviewed the plans that are posted about the combination warming shelter and storage shelter, and it looks to me like at least 3/4 of the projected cost is involved with the storage section. And I would submit that if this is considered and it turns out that the budget is too high, that be split off. I mean, they're separate issues, and I have nothing against there being a storage shelter there, but I would be really disappointed to see the storage shelter part of it wind up being the factor that killed the warming shelter. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no one else. Do we have a motion to adjourn the Public Works Committee meeting?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
John?